Hello guys, welcome back to coding. Last time we have discussed about a simple C++ code to really print a message in a compiler with the help of some header files, return function and many other things. Now today we are going to learn in this what are the basic data types, that if we want to work on variables, what kind of data types are there in C++ that we need to use while performing coding in C++. So guys, I hope you guys will like my video. Do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Coming towards today's topic, that is data type. When we talk about data type, it is nothing but telling us the type of data associated with the operation to be handled on the variable. Now when we talk about variable, you will get to know where we use data types with the variables. Now when we are talking about data types, in C++ we have these categories of data types. Number one is a fundamental data type, next is a derived data type, and third is a user defined data type. When we talk about fundamental data type are nothing but that are already available in the compiler and we do not need to define them. They are already available. Derived data type, derived data type means which will be accessed from the fundamental data type. Or when we talk about user defined data type are those data type which include both the fundamental as well as the derived data type. Now moving forward to the very first data type, that is fundamental data type. When we talk about fundamental data type, as I already told you, these are already available in the compiler. These are already available in compiler means whenever we'll execute some words, like if I have shown you over here, integer I have written it in short form like int. Whenever I write int in the compiler, it will automatically indicate that the type of data associated with that variable will be of what type? Integer type. I told you what is an integer type, which does not hold any decimal value. Now that fundamental data types are classified into 5 categories. Number one is integer data type. Integer data type will only consist of real numbers. Next we have a character data type. When we are talking about character data type, it includes all the characters from A to Z, from in uppercase as well as a lowercase. When we talk about uppercase and lowercase, both are different in C++. Next we have floating and double. Floating and double are somewhat similar, but the difference is that it based upon the memory. Floating holds less memory as compared to double, but both contain the decimal value. Now next we talk about void. Void means nothing but just valueless data. It can be used in place of, like we have used int main in the starting of a program. We can also use void main in the starting of the program, or also we can use void when we are using functions to call the parameters. That is the basic functionality of all these fundamental data types. So the next kind of data type that we have is derived data type. Derived data types are those data types that have derived some functionalities from the fundamental data type. Means these data types can only be created if we are using the fundamental data types. Now these are also classified into different categories. We have arrays, functions, pointers, reference and constant. Now the most popularly used things in function of programming is arrays and functions. We'll use this all over in the programming, whichever programming we use, like either we are using C++ or Java or any other programming language. Now when we talk about arrays is nothing but just to add some large number of values by assigning some data type. If we want an integer data type, if we want a float data type, we can use any kind of data type with these derived data types. Now when we talk about arrays basically work to hold large number of spaces. Like if you want to enter student marks of 100 students, now what you will do, you will not enter 100 marks again and again, you will simply use a array. Then we have functions. When we talk about functions is used to define a particular function that is to be done in a program. It can define its parameters, it can tell what you have to do. Like you can define different functions. If you want to add, you will make a separate function. If you want to subtract, you will make a separate function. Similarly, now next we have a pointers reference are basically used to tell us the memory location where our data is being stored. It is of no purpose to use with the program. These are just to tell you where our memory location is there. Next we have constants can be if you want to allocate the memory dynamically or statically. These are known as constants. These are some derived data types. We will learn about arrays and functions when I will teach you more about C++. So when we talk about user-defined data type use the functionality of both fundamental data types as well as the derived data type. When we have user-defined data type, user-defined data types are like class, structure, union, enumeration. When we talk about class, class basically includes all the type of data which are of same nature, like we have discussed in object-oriented programming also. Now, when we are using this user-defined data type, for example, if we are defining a class, so what we can use class and then the class name. As you can see the syntax further I have given you of how we define a class or how we define a structure. Then what we can use, we can include arrays also into it, we can include functions also into it, and we can define a particular variable with like int, character, float, anything that are known as user defined data types. So now when we talk about variables, variables are used to represent the storage location of values that we can manipulate during the program run. Now variables will be used with the type of data type associated with it. If you are using an int data type, the variable will be of integer type. Character using, then it will be of a character type. Now variables have two bases like declaration of a variable, initialization of a variable. When we are declaring a variable will have a syntax of data name and just the variable name. Example, we have written int a. Now when we talk about initialization of a variable, initialization of the variable means that this variable name will contain some value. As you can see that data type and variable name is equals to value, is equals to assignment operator that we have used, and will have some value like int a equals to 10. You can also see the code over here in which what we have used, we have initialized some values of a and b, and then we have programmed the code so to get the desired result. So as in the previous case, we have initialized the value and get the result of the sum of a plus b, which turned out to be 20, as you have seen the output also. Now if we do not want to initialize the value, just you want to do the initialization at the time of running of the program. So this is the code snippet of that you have to enter the value of a, then you have to enter the value of b, then you will add both the values, and you have stored the resultant in c. That's why we are printing the resultant of c, we are not printing a and b. When you will run this code, you will get the output as shown over here. Like first of all, the value of enter value of a will come, after that enter value of b will come, then we will get the result, and the sum of a plus b is equals to the desired value that we have given in a and b. So here I am showing you the example of how we are using the variables, like how, what is the syntax of each and every variable. Like if you want to store a character, what you will use, if like char. Now whenever you are defining a variable, you must be familiar that how you need to write a data type. There are short form for data type like char for character. Float has float, float. You have to write these only, and these should be in smaller case, because C++ is a case sensitive language. It treats the uppercase level as different and lowercase level as different. Now next we have double, then we have void. These are the basic syntax. Similarly, you can see the syntax of class, arrays, functions that I have defined you over here in the slide, that how we have need to basically write this, write the syntax of these. We will get each and every detailed chapter of this. We will learn about C++. So guys, I think you must be clear about what are data types, different kinds of data type, fundamental, derived and user defined data types, how we define a variable, how we initialize the variable, how we can also enter the value when we do not want to initialize the variable freehand. So you can see the detailed description of each and every definition of data type, fundamental data types in my website. The link of the website is given in the description. Do check it out, and also tell me the views about how my website is, and also about are you liking my videos. If you like my video, do like, share and subscribe, and thanks for watching.